Persecuted for their faith. That is the reality for many Christians worldwide, especially in the Middle East, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Less than 1% of the world's Christians now live there due to so much persecution and Muslim majority there. Joining me now is the founder of the Nazarene.org, Father Benedict Keeley. He's doing the Lord's work, providing aid and advocacy for persecuted Christians there and around the world. Father Keeley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lydia, as always. Thank you to Newsmax for always keeping this issue at the forefront.
Father, you visited Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria regularly since 2015. Talk to us about what is happening to the Christians there in the Middle East, because their faith remains strong. Despite their churches being bombed, they're being persecuted for their faith. They are steadfast in what they believe in Jesus Christ.
Well, as you know, Lydia, with your Albanian heritage, that when the church is persecuted, even though it's terrible, often the faith gets stronger and eventually it emerges. Christians in the Middle East have been persecuted for centuries, ever since the time of Islam, I'm afraid to say. And it's still the case. Christians are always second-class citizens. Wherever Islam is the majority, Christians are second-class citizens. And waves of persecution come every few years. At the moment, it's slightly quieter in the Middle East, although Christians are always in danger. There are attacks regularly in places like Egypt and Syria, of course, it's ongoing, and in Iraq. So Christians suffer, and they need the prayers and help of their brothers and sisters in the West.
Why do you think the media seems to ignore it? Obviously, not here at Newsmax. We try to put a spotlight on it. But then when they do cover it, they don't talk about them being Islamic militants that are carrying out these atrocities. They just say, oh, inner gang, turf wars, this or that. But this is what Islamism, the radical portion of it, is about. They want to erase Christians from the face of the earth, and they believe they're infidels, that they should be killed.
Well, your previous reports, interestingly enough, about things like the trans stuff, that's why the media doesn't report Christians, because often many in the media, the left-wing media, left-wing academia, etc., think that we're the enemy because of course, our teaching on human sexuality, etc. But also Islam we're not allowed, where it seems to be completely verboten, forbidden to ever say that where is the vast majority of persecution coming from. It doesn't mean every Muslim is a bad person,
That's
of
right.
course not, and they don't all persecute Christians. However, as I said, wherever Muslims are in the majority, Christians are always second-class citizens and are often suffering.
Your organization, Nazarene.org, has fed and housed multiple Christian refugees in Iraq and Syria. You help these people establish financial independence. Tell us more about your organization.
Well, thank you again, Lydia. We're Nazarene. I always say with an S, not with a Z. Glenn Beck's the guy with the Z. He's got millions. I've only got thousands. But we do something very simple. People always wonder, what can we do? You hear about persecution, and people kind of throw up their hands and say, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. Well, you can. It's very easy to identify a family with faces, mother, father, children. We help them start a family business in their own country where they've been for 2,000 years, and start any kind of little business they want, a very small amount, often $5,000, $10,000. That keeps Christians in their own country. They don't just take charity. They work, they create, they employ other people, and they stay. And now we're in 6 countries doing this, just little businesses and Christians staying in their homeland and not migrating.
Father, you mentioned my ethnic Albanian descent, and what's interesting there is Albania used to be a Muslim majority country, and for the first time for a long time, it is no longer a Muslim majority. Christians are emerging there. Mother Teresa, a lot of people don't realize, she is of Albanian descent. So what do you credit the shift there to?
Well, your heritage is a beautiful heritage. Albania is just an extraordinary place, so heavily persecuted, more than anywhere else really in the world during communist times, equivalent of North Korea now. Everything, all the churches destroyed, priests and nuns and people killed. Yet, from that incredible persecution, the faith emerged in 1990 or so when it was free. And now, yes, the witness of those people, those men, women, and children, and now the faith is getting strong. It's just a beautiful thing to see.
It really is. Father Keeley, thank you so much for joining us.
Bless you, Lydia.
Thank you.